Here are 10 terrible signs. You're being gaslighted. You might think you'd recognize manipulation when it happens, but gaslighting is so subtle that it can make you question everything, even your own reality. It's not just about someone lying to you. Gaslighting is designed to erode your confidence, isolate you, and make you feel like you're losing your grip on what's real. Have you ever felt like you're apologizing for things you didn't do, doubting memories you were sure about, or wondering if you're too sensitive? You're not alone, and it's not in your head. This form of manipulation is more common than you think, and the damage it causes can be devastating. In this video, we'll walk through 10 clear and unmistakable signs of gaslighting, using real-life examples to help you identify these tactics. If you've ever felt confused, isolated, or trapped in a relationship, this might explain why. And by the end, you'll have the tools to recognize gaslighting and take the first steps toward breaking free. Let's dive in. 1. You constantly question your memory. Gaslighting often starts subtly, planting seeds of doubt about your memory. Imagine this. You clearly recall discussing weekend plans with your partner. You suggested going to a new restaurant, and they agreed. However, when the weekend arrives, they insist you never mentioned it. You must have dreamed that up, they say with a dismissive laugh. You replay the conversation in your mind, wondering if you truly imagined it. Another example might be at work. You distinctly remember your manager assigning you a task during a meeting, but later they claim they assigned it to someone else and that you misunderstood. You second-guess yourself, even though you made a note of it right after the meeting. This repeated denial of your reality creates a pattern. The gaslighter's goal is to make you question your memory so much that you begin to rely on their version of events over your own. Over time, you might start to feel like your memory is faulty, even when you've always trusted it before. It's crucial to recognize this pattern. A healthy relationship, whether with a partner, friend, or colleague, doesn't involve dismissing or rewriting your reality. If you're being told you're imagining things or that never happened, ask yourself, does this happen often? Does it make you feel confused or doubtful about things you know to be true? Keeping a journal can help. Write down key conversations and events as they happen. If someone later tries to tell you it didn't happen that way, you'll have a record to validate your memory. Gaslighting thrives on confusion and self-doubt, but with awareness and self-trust, you can start to see through the manipulation. Recognizing the signs is the first step toward reclaiming your confidence. 2. You find yourself apologizing too often. One of the clearest signs of gaslighting is the growing compulsion to apologize for things you didn't even do. The gaslighter manipulates situations to make you feel at fault, even when they're the one causing harm. For example, let's say you planned a dinner party and spent hours preparing. The gaslighter shows up late without explanation, and when you express frustration, they turn the tables. You're always so dramatic about these things. Maybe I wouldn't be late if you weren't so controlling. Suddenly you're apologizing for expecting them to be on time, even though their behavior was the issue. Another instance could occur in a friendship. You tell a close friend that something they said hurt your feelings. Instead of apologizing, they respond with, "You're way too sensitive. I was just joking." Now, instead of feeling validated, you're apologizing for taking offense. Over time, this pattern erodes your sense of self-worth. You start to internalize the idea that you're overly emotional, overly demanding, or just not good enough. You apologize not just to the gaslighter, but to others in your life, often feeling like a burden in situations where you're not at fault. If you notice this in yourself, take a step back and ask, why am I apologizing? Was this situation truly my fault? Start paying attention to how often you apologize and whether the apology feels warranted. This behavior isn't a reflection of who you are. It's a symptom of emotional manipulation. The next time you're tempted to apologize unnecessarily, pause. Instead, express your feelings assertively. I feel hurt when this happens, and I need us to address it. Reclaiming your voice is a powerful step in breaking free from the gaslighter's grip. 3. You feel isolated. Gaslighting often involves subtle tactics to isolate you from friends, family, or anyone who might validate your experiences or challenge the gaslighter's control. This isolation creates dependency, leaving you more vulnerable to their manipulation. For instance, imagine you're excited to meet a close friend after a long time, but your partner begins making comments like, "Why do you even hang out with them? They don't really care about you." Or they might say, "I don't trust them. They're a bad influence on you." Over time, these remarks may cause you to second-guess your friendships, leading you to withdraw from people who could offer support. At work, this can happen when a manipulative colleague tells you, "The team doesn't really think you're contributing much." They might discourage you from seeking feedback from others, subtly driving a wedge between you and the rest of your team. This isolates you professionally, making you rely solely on their distorted version of reality. Gaslighters also use this tactic with family. They may make offhand comments like, "Your parents never really understood you, did they?" Or, "Your sibling always seemed jealous of you." These remarks plant doubts about your closest relationships, pushing you further into isolation. When you're cut off from external support, the gaslighter's influence becomes stronger. You may start to feel like they're the only person you can rely on, even as they undermine your sense of self. To combat this, actively seek connection with those who uplift and support you. Reach out to friends or family you've drifted from, even if it feels difficult. Sharing your experiences with a trusted person can help break the cycle of isolation. Remember, isolation is a tool of control. Staying connected is your way out. 4. Your confidence has plummeted. Gaslighting often chips away at your self-esteem, leaving you doubting your abilities, decisions, and worth. Over time, you may find yourself hesitating to take initiative or make choices because you fear getting it wrong, or worse, being criticized by the gaslighter. For example, imagine you're proud of completing a big project at work. You share your excitement with a colleague who's been undermining you, and they respond with something like, "It's not that impressive. Anyone could have done that." Suddenly, your sense of accomplishment deflates, and you start questioning whether your hard work even mattered. In relationships, a gaslighter might belittle your contributions or mock your ideas in subtle ways. You suggest trying a new hobby or planning a trip, only to hear, "That's a dumb idea. I don't know why you'd think that would work." Even if it's framed as a joke, the constant dismissiveness makes you second-guess yourself, and eventually you stop sharing your ideas altogether. This loss of confidence can creep into everyday decisions. You might start overthinking simple choices, what to wear, what to cook, or how to respond in conversations, because the gaslighter has made you feel like you can't do anything right. You might even start seeking their approval for things you once handled confidently on your own. To rebuild your confidence, begin by recognizing your own strengths and achievements. Keep a journal of your accomplishments, big or small, and revisit it whenever you feel self-doubt creeping in. Surround yourself with people who value and respect you, as their support can help counter the negativity. Most importantly, remember that the gaslighter's criticism reflects their need for control, not your actual worth. By reclaiming your self-belief, you take a critical step toward breaking free from their influence. 5. They twist the truth. Gaslighters are experts at twisting the truth to suit their narrative, leaving you confused and questioning reality. They'll take a situation where they're clearly in the wrong and distort the facts until you're unsure of what really happened. For example, let's say they blatantly lied about something. Perhaps they said they were working late, but you later find out they were out with friends. When confronted, instead of admitting the lie, they respond with, "You're always suspicious of me. No wonder I didn't tell you. You would have overreacted." Suddenly, the focus shifts from their dishonesty to your supposed overreaction, making you feel guilty for even bringing it up. Another scenario could involve a family disagreement. Imagine you catch them criticizing you to a relative. When you bring it up, they twist the situation. "I was defending you, actually. They were saying much worse things about you, but of course, you only hear what you want to hear." By distorting the truth, they create a reality where they appear as the victim or hero, and you're left feeling confused and even apologetic. Over time, this constant manipulation erodes your ability to trust your own perceptions. You might start second-guessing yourself, thinking, "Did I really misunderstand? Am I being too sensitive?" This confusion gives the gaslighter even more power over you. To counter this, document specific events or conversations as they happen. Keep a record of what was said or done, so when the gaslighter tries to twist the truth, you have clear evidence to ground yourself. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. By recognizing and challenging these manipulations, you can begin to reclaim your sense of clarity and truth. They dismiss your feelings. Gaslighters are quick to invalidate your emotions, making you feel as though your feelings are irrational or unimportant. Over time, this dismissal can lead you to suppress your emotions altogether, convinced they aren't valid. For example, imagine you share that you're upset because they forgot an important date, like your anniversary. Instead of acknowledging your feelings, they respond with, "You're being ridiculous. It's just a date. It doesn't mean anything." This not only minimizes your emotions, but shifts the blame onto you for caring in the first place. Another instance might occur when you express frustration over being ignored in conversations. You say, "I feel like you don't listen to me," and they counter with, "You're always exaggerating. You're so needy." Instead of addressing your concerns, they make you feel guilty for even having them. This repeated invalidation teaches you to doubt your emotional responses. You might start thinking, "Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I'm overreacting." Over time, you suppress your feelings to avoid criticism, which only deepens the gaslighter's control over you. Healthy relationships involve mutual respect for each other's emotions. Even if someone doesn't fully understand your feelings, they acknowledge and respect them. Gaslighters, on the other hand, use dismissal as a tool to maintain power, ensuring you feel isolated and unsupported. To combat this, remind yourself that your emotions are valid, regardless of whether the gaslighter acknowledges them. Practice naming and owning your feelings without apology. "I feel hurt, and that's important." Seek out friends, family, or a therapist who will listen and affirm your experiences. Validation from a trusted source can help you rebuild your confidence and resist the urge to suppress your emotions. You deserve to be heard and respected. 7. You feel constantly confused. A key tactic of gaslighting is creating a fog of confusion. The gaslighter's ever-changing stories, contradictory statements, and denial of events leave you questioning your perception of reality. Over time, you feel trapped in a cycle of doubt and frustration. For example, they might promise something significant, like attending an important event with you. When they fail to show up, you confront them, only to hear, "I never said I'd go to that. You must have misunderstood." You're left wondering if you misremembered the entire conversation, even though you were sure of it just moments ago. Another example is when they contradict themselves. They might criticize you for spending too much time with friends, but when you stay home, they accuse you of being boring or antisocial. No matter what you do, they find a way to twist the situation, leaving you feeling like you can't win. This constant uncertainty affects your mental well-being. You may start questioning even simple things. Did I really hear them correctly? Am I making things worse? This confusion is exactly what the gaslighter wants. It keeps you off balance and more likely to depend on their version of reality. To regain clarity, write things down as they happen. Document important conversations and decisions so you can revisit them if they try to rewrite history. Sharing your experiences with a trusted friend or therapist can also help validate your perceptions and break the cycle of confusion. Most importantly, trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Gaslighters thrive on making you doubt yourself, but by recognizing their tactics and reinforcing your own sense of reality, you can begin to see through the manipulation and regain your confidence. 8. They use your insecurities against you. Gaslighters are skilled at identifying your vulnerabilities and exploiting them to maintain control. They subtly or overtly weaponize your insecurities, using them to manipulate your emotions and actions. For example, if you've shared that you're self-conscious about your appearance, a gaslighter might make backhanded compliments like, "You look nice, but that outfit would be better if you lost a little weight." On the surface, it sounds like a helpful suggestion, but it's designed to deepen your insecurity and make you feel inadequate. In a work setting, a manipulative colleague might say, "You're great at what you do, but you're not really leadership material." This preys on any doubts you may have about your abilities and subtly undermines your confidence. You might start avoiding opportunities for growth, believing you're not good enough. In relationships, they might exploit your desire for connection. For instance, if you've shared a fear of being abandoned, they might say, "No one else would put up with you the way I do," making you feel like you're lucky to have them, even as they treat you poorly. This tactic leaves you feeling powerless and overly reliant on their approval, as they've convinced you that your insecurities define you. To counter this, remind yourself that everyone has insecurities. It's part of being human, but they don't define your worth. Surround yourself with people who uplift and support you rather than exploit your vulnerabilities. If possible, seek out a therapist or coach to help you rebuild your confidence and recognize your strengths. Remember, your insecurities are not a weakness to be exploited. They're opportunities for growth and self-acceptance. By acknowledging and owning them, you take away the gaslighter's power and start reclaiming your self-worth. They play the victim. Gaslighters often deflect accountability by portraying themselves as the victim, even when they're the ones at fault. This tactic shifts the focus away from their behavior, making you feel guilty for even bringing up an issue. For instance, let's say you confront them about breaking a promise, like not showing up to an event you planned together. Instead of addressing the broken promise, they respond with something like, "Do you know how hard my week has been? I can't believe you'd attack me over something so small when I'm already under so much stress." Suddenly, you're comforting them instead of addressing your own hurt. In another example, you might point out a pattern of disrespectful behavior, such as frequent interruptions during conversations. Instead of taking responsibility, they turn the tables. "I only interrupt because you never listen to me. Do you know how frustrating that is for me?" Now, you're questioning whether you've been unfair and apologizing for something they created. This victim mentality can extend to their relationships with others, too. They might claim their boss is out to get them, or that their friends have abandoned them for no reason, subtly painting themselves as someone constantly wronged by the world. This reinforces their narrative and keeps you feeling guilty for adding to their problems. To break free from this dynamic, practice recognizing the pattern. When they deflect and play the victim, gently steer the conversation back to the issue at hand. For example, you could say, "I understand you've been stressed, but I need us to focus on how this situation made me feel." It's crucial to remember that everyone has challenges, but genuine victims don't manipulate others with their struggles. By staying grounded in your feelings and refusing to accept misplaced blame, you take a step toward regaining control. 10. You feel trapped in the relationship. One of the most painful signs of gaslighting is the feeling of being stuck, as though there's no way out of the relationship or situation. The gaslighter's manipulation has created a dependency that makes leaving seem impossible, even when you recognize the harm. For example, the gaslighter might convince you that you're incapable of managing without them. They'll say things like, "You'd never survive on your own," or "No one else would love you the way I do." These statements prey on your fears and insecurities, making you feel unworthy and powerless. Another way they trap you is by creating an illusion of unpredictability. They alternate between moments of kindness and cruelty, keeping you hooked with the hope that things will improve. After a heated argument, where they dismiss your feelings, they might turn around and say, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. You're everything to me." This cycle keeps you invested, always waiting for the good moments to return. In friendships or professional relationships, gaslighters may leverage shared responsibilities or connections to keep you tethered. They might say, "If you leave, you'll destroy everything we've worked for," or guilt-trip you with statements like, "I thought you were loyal." The result? You feel paralyzed, torn between staying in the toxic relationship or risking the unknown. To overcome this, remind yourself that feeling trapped is part of their strategy. It's not reality. Seek support from trusted friends, family, or professionals who can help you see your options clearly. Build an action plan, even if it's small steps, like setting boundaries or consulting with a counselor. Remember, you are stronger than the gaslighter wants you to believe. Freedom begins with recognizing that you deserve better and taking steps, no matter how small, to reclaim your life. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious forms of manipulation, but recognizing the signs is the first step toward breaking free and reclaiming your confidence. If any of these points resonated with you, remember, you're not alone, and help is always within reach. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it to let us know. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss more content like this that empowers and informs. We'd love to hear from you. What signs stood out to you the most? Have you experienced gaslighting before? Share your thoughts, experiences, or takeaways in the comments below. Your insights could help others who are going through the same struggles. Thank you for watching, and remember, you deserve relationships that uplift and respect you. Stay strong, stay wise, and we'll see you in the next video.